CloudDB, shaping your new normal.
Welcome everyone to the 2022 APEC OCI Days by Apaco UC. This is our first year having a dedicated OCI event, and it's our honor and privilege to run this event with the support of 15 Oracle user groups and jugs in the Asia-Pac region. Please remember to register to as many sessions as you can. This way you'll be able to have access to our replays until June 15, 2022. Basically, you go to the agenda of the event, you register to attend as many sessions you wish. It will populate your personal schedule that you have access in your attendee tab in the platform. And there, after 24 hours after the live sessions, you will start seeing the replay links showing up. And you will be able to watch the replays at your own discretion up to June 15, 2022. I would like to say thanks to our Oracle user groups and Java user groups that made this event possible, and also to our sponsors, the Oracle ACE community, the DevRel team, and our main sponsors, Oracle Corporation and CloudDB. Now for today's session, I know I need to improve my security on OCI by Luc Demanche. Please feel free to ask questions to Luc at any time by using the chat window on your right lower corner of your screen, and Luc will be answering all your questions at the end of the presentation. If you have any technical issues or problems during this session, please feel free to let me know by using the same chat window, and I will try to help you the best I can. Now, without any other further ado, I leave you with this amazing session by Luc Demanche. Luc, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Good evening for people in North America. Gracias, thanks, Francisco, for having me today. It's actually my first time with you guys, and I'm very happy to discuss about a very important subject, security on OCI. Again, as mentioned by Francisco, feel free to ask any questions in the chat window, and I'll try to keep some time at the end to answer them. Okay, so let's start. My name is Luc Demanche. I'm a cloud and DBA practice director at Insum. I also had the chance to work on two books. The first one in regards of the Oracle Application Express, and the latest one getting started with Oracle Cloud for each year. Again, I'm having fun. I'm having fun working on OCI with the cloud, but I'm also having fun on the ice playing ice hockey. So I'm a huge fan of ice hockey. So, like I said, working for Insum, a talent company. We are the largest consulting company specialized in Application Express with Apex. We do custom development. We do forms modernization with Apex, EBS extensions with Apex, and also obviously we are helping our clients with their journey to OCI. Assisting them with all the work related to OCI. Okay, so like I said, we have been working on cloud migration for the last few years now. As you know, there's a lot of good reasons why someone would want to go to OCI. You know, we know these reasons: leveraging new technologies like AI, big data, blockchain, to improve time to market. For some industries, time to market is crucial. To do transformation, to improve their system, to improve the way they are doing things, deployed multi-cloud strategy, innovation. So there's a lot of good reasons to go to the cloud. And in general, every project has some challenges, has to deal with new technologies. Clients have to learn new concepts, and obviously there's a lot of excitement around this project, but there's also some concern. And speaking of concern, security is one of the most important concerns we are seeing from clients when it comes to moving workload on the cloud. Why? Because cloud security breaches consistently make news headlines. You can search on the web 5 minutes and you're going to find hundreds of examples in the last years. So that makes sense, and I totally understand why this is still a concern for clients. This is why every project involves discussion and strategy around security now. And we have to have these sessions with the security team before going too far into the project. In the past, we have seen some projects being canceled or being blocked by security team, and most of the time it was because of lack of knowledge or lack of understanding in regards of security on the cloud. So unfortunately, not justifiable fears can result in loss of opportunities. So again, security must be part of the cloud strategy now. I have a question for you. It's a question that we are still getting. Is the cloud secure? So this is a great question. It's a valid question, and I do believe the answer is yes, as long as you are using the cloud securely. So that makes the difference here. Okay. Even though clients understand the benefits of for their application, their system, and for the business to go over to the cloud, we still have to explain how their data would be secured, would be protected. I believe it could be even more protected on being on the cloud than it could be on the on-premises. But security risk exists in both worlds, either on the cloud or on-premises. So there's a ton of tools, best practices for securing data in the cloud. We simply have to make sure that they are adequately deployed and enforced. I do think that being on the cloud, this process of improving security is easier and faster than if we would be on premises, because cloud providers are responsible of providing and improving their security mechanisms. So what we are seeing in the slide here, misconfiguration, malicious activities, data privacy. Each of the major cloud providers have a way or a process, or they have a tool to identify and to deal with them. OCI, Oracle Cloud Infra, has, like the other vendors, security services for securing the infrastructure as well as the data stored on OCI. So the shared responsibility security model, I'm sure that you have seen this image before. We can see how responsibility are changing from the on-premise stack compared to the SaaS model. On the on-premises stack, obviously the customer is responsible of protecting each layers. On the infra as a service, half of the stack is under the cloud provider responsibilities. PaaS, for example, the Oracle Analytic Cloud, the client is only responsible of of securing the application, when you provision the application, securing the data, and securing the user access. And on the SaaS model, obviously, the client is only responsible of those two layers here. So we can see the responsibilities that have shifted from the on-premises to the SaaS, and the cloud provider being responsible of the majority of the stack now. So to summarize that, we can tell that the cloud service provider is responsible for security of the cloud, and the customer is responsible for the security in the cloud. So that's an easy way to explain that. So now we'll have a look in the next slides. We'll have a look at what OCI is offering. So we can see on this slide, it provides a good overview of the cloud services built to help on securing your cloud infrastructure. We're going to have a look at a few of them today. First of all, in the main component, Cloud Guard, which is the cloud security posture management tool provided by OCI. So this is what we need to use in order to analyze and improve our cloud security posture. There's other services like vulnerability scanning, which scans hosts and images for vulnerabilities. Security Zone here, which is designed to apply security policies directly against a compartment. So this will allow or deny operations that run within a compartment. And we do have here as well the Identity and Access Management Service, which is in fact actually the very first service you use in order to design, create OCI groups, OCI users, access policies, compartment, etc. Let's have a quick look at the Identity and Access Management Service, the IAM. So IAM provides authentication and authorization for all OCI resources and services. So we can see here some resources. There's also compute instance that you provision, database cloud service, OCI streaming instance. So there's a lot of resources that you can create from OCI. We can see here as well the users. So that could be either human or a system that needs to access the resources here. We see the groups, which is a collection of users, and also I mentioned earlier compartment, which is a collection of resources grouped all together that ease the way to manage those resources. So a quick example could be a compartment called engineering that will and we will find all the resources that belongs to the engineering system within this compartment here. Another concept here, policies. So a policy is a group, is a set of authorization rules to define access on resources. So an easy example here would be to a policy that says allow group DB admin to manage database family in the compartment engineering. So it means that all the users in that specific group will have permissions to manage databases in that compartment. So that's the way we are providing permissions, authorization to manage to use different resources. With IAM, we can also enforce MFA to secure the access to the OCI console. We can federate IAM with your identity provider, for example, with Azure AD. So these are things we are doing with IAM in order to improve the security. So now let's have a look at what I said as the main component. So now that we have started designing and building the OCI groups and users and policies and start creating OCI resources, let's see how we can manage the overall security on OCI. So by managing, I mean to analyze what's going on, to identify weaknesses, and the objective is to improve the overall security. So like it says here, studies are saying that the majority of the security breaches are customers' fault. So now we have to see how we can do things in order to minimize that risk. And I also mentioned here that that process must not be complex. This process has to be easy. So to make this process efficient, it has to be easy and not a complex process. So that is why we have to use what they call the cloud security posture management solution. This is the best way to secure cloud configuration, to monitor suspicious activity, because security issues are easier to resolve when continuous monitoring, automation, and proper configuration are applied. CloudGuard is the OCI CSPM solution to be used to have a look at the OCI resources for security weaknesses and to have a look at the risky activities. So now, how does it work? So the concept behind CloudGuard is very, very simple. It receives signals from different components within OCI, which are fed into detectors. These detectors identify problems, which can then be associated to responders to either provide the notification or automated remediation of the problem. So this is a pretty straightforward process here. So in regards of the detectors here, the detectors recipes. So OCI provides what they call Oracle managed recipes. So these recipes cannot be modified. So we have to clone these recipes and then adjust them based on your needs. So quickly, there's 3 different types of detector recipes. So the first one, they call it configuration-based detector recipe, which has rules like database patch not applied, instance as a private IP address. So they are all related on configuration. They have another recipe called activity-based detector recipe, which has rules like virtual cloud network deleted, IAM user added to a group, suspicious IP activity. So these rules are related to activities within within the tenancy. And they also have a third type of recipe, which they call the threat detector recipe, which have a rule that call rogue user. So these are the Oracle managed recipes. So the detectors, and they also have the responders recipe, which again you cannot modify the Oracle managed responder recipe. So you should obviously create a clone of it, and then you can customize it. But some example of rules within this recipe are stop compute instance or suspend user. So these are a couple of examples of rules within this responder recipe. Okay, so now that we understand the concept behind CloudGuard, so now let's see how we are enabling CloudGuard. It's pretty straightforward. It's a couple of steps here to enable CloudGuard. So going to the CloudGuard homepage, you simply have to click on Enable CloudGuard, and it will ask you for a couple of things here. So first of all, the reporting region, which could be any region you want. It will ask you to identify compartments that you would like CloudGuard to monitor. So this will be called targets in CloudGuard. So you're going to identify compartments. So you can identify individual compartments, or you can select the root compartment, which means that CloudGuard will have a look at your entire tenancy. And also you have to provide the configuration, the activity, or the threat detector recipes. But for the very first time, when you're going to enable CloudGuard for the first time, you would not be able to create your own recipes, as mentioned before. So what you should do is to enable CloudGuard without recipes, and then we're going to go through the process of creating your own recipes. So when you complete this process, then you can go back to CloudGuard homepage, and you will see that here. So perfect score, but obviously that doesn't represent the reality, as you are not using any detector recipes yet. So that's nice, but it's just a beginning. Okay, now, as I said, we have access to CloudGuard. CloudGuard is enabled, but without any detector recipes. Now we're going to go through the process of cloning the current Oracle managed recipes in order to customize the new recipes and to assign them to the target. So there's things that we have to be aware in regards of the Oracle managed and the user managed recipes. Oracle security engineers are constantly modifying and improving the Oracle managed recipes. So they are always up to date. Even though you clone and you create a brand new user managed recipe, your own recipe will always be updated with the new rules being added in the template. So you will not have to go and have a look for new rules. They will be automatically added into your own user managed recipe, which is great. Why I'm not using Oracle managed recipes? I'm going to give you a couple of examples of rules within the Oracle managed recipes that I don't want to use. Right. So there's a a rule that says VCN, Virtual Cloud Network, as Internet Gateway attached. And there's another rule that says Virtual Cloud Network without associated network security group, which basically those two rules will most of the time fail with our deployments. And so I don't want CloudGuard to create problems related to these rules, because I know it will fail, right? So this is a good example why I prefer creating my own recipe, and then I'm going to customize it based on my needs. So I'm looking at the questions. There's no questions so far, so please don't hesitate to ask a question here. Okay, so now I did enable CloudGuard. I did create my own recipes. So now, obviously, I need to do the same for the responder recipe. So same process, same concept. I'm cloning the OracleMania recipe, and I'm customizing the user manage based on my need. So personally, when I start deploying and customizing and tuning CloudGuard, I prefer disabling the responder rules and manually dealing with the CloudGuard problems. After some time of tuning recipes, I'm more confident to have the responder doing automated action. But for the beginning, I prefer dealing with problems manually until I'm confident with my my recipes. If you look at that slide here, there's only one rule that I keep from the original configuration, is the cloud event rule. This is required when you want to get notifications, which we're going to have a look a bit later. Okay, so I'm ready to assign my new recipes to the CloudGuard target. So as we can see here, this is the Detector recipe. This is my target. So I did assign here my customer manage, my user manage recipes to my target. Same as for the responder, I did assign my user manage recipe to my CloudGuard target. Okay, so now that I'm using the my recipes, now when I go back to the CloudGuard overview page, I got some normal stuff here, right? So it's totally normal to have some detected problems, and it's totally normal to have a certain risk score here. So obviously there's some work to be done. The objective is to reduce the risk score as much as possible. So talking about the risk score here, this is related to the number and also the severity of their problems. Obviously, more components you have, and higher the risk score you might have as well. That makes sense. But again, the goal is to reduce the risk score, and in order to do that, the best way is to deal with the low-hanging fruit problems. And so let's have a quick look by going into the recommendation page here. Okay, so now into the recommendation page, we are seeing the most critical problems and the ones that have the highest impact on the risk score. So let's have a quick look deeper let's click on View Problem here. And so we see the definition of the rule. And in that case, it looks at the security list of my VCN, and it looked at the list of port that allows traffic. So this problem here, this detected problem here, it's because my security list allow traffic on port 3389, on port 3389 here. So that's why CloudGuard Detector created that problem here. Obviously, that port 3389 should not be allowed, but for the application, for my business, I need to have a security list that allow traffic on port 3389. So that's why the detector created a problem. Okay, that's fine. I understand. So now, what's the next step? So there's a couple of things that we could do. So there's three action here. So the first one, the remediation, which execute the associated responder rule to fix the problem. So this is an option. For this example here, it's grayed out. But if I take the example of an object storage bucket that is public, then I would have a remediation here that would apply, that would change the visibility of that bucket to private. So I would be able to click on remediation, and it will do that automatically. So the other one, mark as resolve, if I can click on mark as resolve if I have manually taken an action to fix the problem. So by doing so, this will close will close the current problem, and the detector will create a new problem if ever it detects the same problem again. And also the third action here, dismiss, this will simply ignore this problem now and for the future. So these are the three actions I can take against a specific problem that's been created by the detector. What I can do as well is to modify the detector recipe rule. So in that specific case here, again, the situation is that my security list allow traffic on port 3389, which is fine for me. So what I would like to do here is to change the detector rule and to tell him to not create problems based on this definition here for a specific VCN. So I will use the conditional group, and I will create an exclusion list, and I will list all the VCN that I would like to exclude from this rule to be validated. So that's the way that I'm gonna modify the rule in order to make sure it will not create problems for the specific situation that I'm aware of. So this is an option. So it will not create new problems anymore. We'll go through some demo a little bit later, and so I'll see that step here. So in regards of the different recipe rules, here are some rules that are provided by Oracle. Obviously, using custom recipe, you can enable these rules. But here are some examples of rules that CloudGuard can evaluate against your different resources. Okay. Next step, notifications. So as I mentioned earlier, the responder recipe rule, the responder recipe has a rule called cloud event, and this is this emits problem details to the OCI event service. So by creating an event rule, you can get notified for every detected problems identified by CloudGuard. So you can get an email, you can get a Slack message, you can use OCI function, any type of notification topic that you have configured. So you can use this notification topic in order to get notified. Just a small advice here. Wait for the initial CloudGuard configuration and tuning process before enabling notification. Otherwise, you're going to get tons of Slack messages. Okay, looking at the chat window, there's no question so far. So let's keep going. So what I'll do, I'll go right away for a quick demo. So if you give me a minute, I'm gonna log in my tenancy, and so we'll quickly go around. We'll quickly go around here. Okay. So I'm going into my tenancy. Federated with my IDP, and also using MFA here. Okay, perfect. So now I'm logged in my tenancy. So I'll take a minute. I'll take 2 minutes to go over CloudGuard. So this is the overview. So I can go on the recommendation here. That's important here. You have to select the right compartment and the right region. So here I can see some problems. Let's go have a look here. So you can sort by risk level. So let's have a quick look at this one here. So this is similar to the other one. So CloudGuard Detector did create a problem because my security list was open for the traffic on port 80. So that's why I got this problem here. Again, what I can do is I can go into my detector recipe here. I can go to my configuration detector recipe customer manage. And I'm going to select the specific rule, which is the VCN security list allow traffic to restricted port. And what I can do from here, I can update my conditional group, right? And I can add my VCN OCID in order to exclude it from the validation. So by doing so, this problem will not be identified anymore. So that's the way. That's one way to do that. So if I would have to do that, then I can go back into my problem list here, and I can say, okay, I want to mark it as resolved because I know by changing the rule, it will not be identified anymore. So I can mark this one as resolved, and it's going to be removed from my list. Okay. So I here what we can see again, the responder recipes. Again, This is the clone one. And for now, I did disable all of them except the cloud event. So that's the way to get notified. Other than that, what we do have here, it's the different recipes. So and so targets. So what I do have is a target that it's in fact the root compartment. So I'm asking CloudGuard to monitor the entire tenancy using the detector recipes. Okay, perfect. So let's go back. Let's go back to the presentation. What I would like to also, what I would like to discuss now, it's the security zone. So security zone, with security zone, you are confident your compute and networking and different object resources will comply with Oracle security principles and best practices. So we are also using recipes, and we are associating the security zone to an existing compartment, and this way, the security zone will either allow or block operations based on the recipe. So that's the way it works. Okay, so we could do a demo, but let's go quickly to the next subject, which is data safe. So we discussed about the infrastructure security services. Now let's have a look at the data security services, and this is true data safe. So data safe is a centralized security center with different features, security assessment, which is helping assessing the security of your database configuration. So that is looking at the database security posture. So it looks at the configuration, it looks at the user accounts, security controls, and come up with recommendations in order to reduce the risk of this of the security risk of your database. User assessment. User assessment is also assessing at the user level. It calculates a risk score for every users and can provide the list of critical users based on the risk score. So it looks at password policies. It looks at inactive users, and so everything that could be risky at the user level. Data discovery, it's to identify sensitive data. Data masking, it's a process where using policies, it would mask the sensitive data that has been identified by the data discovery. Activity auditing, actually it's pretty powerful. It can list all the activities that has been done by the system, by the DBA, or anyone that was connected to the database. So you can have a complete list of action on the database system. And obviously alerts based on also policies, and you can be notified based on what has been discovered in the different features here. So quickly, I only have 2 slides left here. So data safe can be used against different database system, autonomous, on-premise, clouded customer, database on compute, and DBCS. And this is what the dashboard looks like. So they call it the security center. So there's some nice graphs with criticality, with list of alerts as well. So this is very powerful in order to evaluate the database security posture. So this is what we can have as well as report. And the conclusion, I would say that we have to keep in mind that the majority of the data breaches are customers' fault. And so now with CloudGuard and with DataSafe, there's no reasons why you don't want to use these different features nowadays. Okay, so I'm looking at the chat. So Francisco, there's no questions.
Hi, Luc. Yes, I cannot see any questions at the moment coming from this chat. I'm just connecting to Facebook to a couple that I can see to see if there's any questions over there. And let me check. Nothing at this point. That means also if you have any questions that you think later or you watching the replays of the video until the 15th of June in the system, you can also contact Luc directly with any questions you have, or you can contact me or Paco UC, and we can then forward your questions directly to Luc. Yeah, I cannot see any questions coming from any one of the both sides. Saying that, I would like to say, Luc, thank you so much for taking the time to share your knowledge and experience with the Asia Pac and global community. And also say thank you to everyone to participate. And we have, if you're not wrong, 5 more sessions today and 6 more sessions tomorrow in this event. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. And please take care and be safe. Thank you, Luc.
Welcome, Francisco. Have a good day.
Bye-bye, everyone.